It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Top of the morning to you, gents. Or should I say, a fine Saturday morning to you. It's been a while.
It's so much fun to hear that.
Oh. It's been a long time, Andy.
It is.
It's been far too long.
I hate you for your enthusiasm this morning.
Oh.
Slow down. Slow your roll.
Pete, it's not like it's Friday the day after where you're still in like, I got turkey belly and I'm like, getting up. It's like you had all of yesterday to let
Your food coma should not last more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I actually did quite well this year because we didn't have turkey for the first time in our family history. We made glorious lemon garlic scallops and everything else. So we had scallops and cranberry sauce and stuffing and potatoes and squash and everything else. And 3 pies and everything. But scallops. And that means there weren't the kind of leftovers that we normally have. And there was no prep. The scallops take like 6 minutes to make. And so I had so much more time to play video games with my son and to watch, oh my God, you guys, the Great British Baking Show this season. Oh, Great British Bake Off, GBBO, I am in.
That's
If
so
you've
funny.
never watched that show, it's wonderful.
But do they
And,
throw food at the contestants?
They made, Andy, I thought of, you're right, not out of an air cannon for
That's-
sure, but one of the things that one of the spotlight, like signature challenges things that they had to make was the host gave them the challenge to make a cake in the shape of a bust of somebody who's important to them, like who inspires them.
Wow.
And so it's these giant layer cakes that are sculpted into the shape of, and I thought, I could see Steve Randy as a giant head cake. This is the first time I feel like I realize you guys are fine as humans, but you may have reached your final form if we somehow made you into a cake.
A bust cake.
Yes.
You know, I have a
Yeah.
friend who makes cakes, and it's the really fancy cakes where it's all the whatever that stuff is that you
Like,
Yeah.
Fondant.
the fondants, yeah.
Yes.
And she
Yeah.
did a
Yes.
Baby Yoda cake in his little kind of floating carriage thing. And
Yeah.
she works in the industry, and she sent it to the set of The Mandalorian for their first day of shooting on season 3, I think. So it's like, well, that's kind of fun. And it looked so good. And I'm like, who is going to be the bastard who puts that knife to Baby Yoda and cuts into him?
What do you cut first? Do you take an ear?
Yeah, right.
Do you take an ear off?
Yeah.
Do you eat one of its baby eyes? What is the first thing of Baby Yoda that you would eat? After the Holocaust that is this season, Baby Yoda eats the final eggs of an entire race of... I mean, come on.
I haven't watched season 2 yet. So I love that you put an article in there like, let's talk about this, and starts, hey, don't read this if you haven't watched episode whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm not reading any further because I'm not.
It. I did. In my headline, I spoiled it for you. Yeah, it was a big surprise this week.
Well, all I know is that Andy's been telling me for probably years I need to watch the Clone Wars series, and now I've seen that there's enough stuff where I'm like, oh, geez, do I need to watch all 7 seasons before I get... And I know I don't have to, but I feel like it's one of those, I'm going to get more of an enjoyment out of season 2 of The Mandalorian if I've watched the Clone Wars, because apparently we've got some crossover.
Yeah,
definitely.
now.
Yeah, definitely in the season 7, there are crossovers happening. But it really helps to get up to speed with some of the characters and their storylines before you really get to that point, just so you have an understanding of them. Although I wouldn't say it's necessary, but
no.
And I haven't finished I'm pretty close, but I haven't finished Clone Wars, and I feel like I'm missing some holes that I've had to read up on. And one of them was in the season finale of season 1, which was the dark saber. And
that's not season 1 of
that's
Rebels.
of Mandalorian.
That's Rebels
of Mandalorian.
Oh, Mandalorian. Yes,
I'm talking about Mandalorian, and he comes out of he cuts his way out, and so the darksaber, that was Rebels, and I haven't watched that at all.
Yeah, I started it, but that's one that I'm
okay
way behind.
So they've tied a lot of these. So Bo-Katan was Bo-Katan a character from Rebels, or
I don't know. I haven't gotten far enough.
Well, then I would assume that it's Rebels and not Clone Wars because you would know.
Well, I'm just my Star Wars brain is forgetting all these names right now. Is that?
It's early for you too, huh? Good.
Is that what's her name? Battlestar Galactica.
Katie
yes.
Sackhoff,
then she is in Clone Wars.
Okay,
that's where she was introduced, and then she popped up in Rebels. Or
That was a great addition to the Mandalorian lore. I thought it was fantastic what they did there, and then we finally have. Who I think is, just judging by fandom, has become a fan favorite in Ahsoka Tano, which I thought was just kind of a toss-off character in the first few seasons of Clone Wars, and now is somebody people really, really want to see, and they gave her to us this week.
Well, that's why you need to finish watching Clone Wars, because her storyline, it's just so good. It's so good.
So it's really season 6 and 7 is where that matures.
It builds. I mean, she's throughout. Right from the beginning, she's Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. And, but yeah, her storyline develops really strongly in those last couple seasons. And that's what I say, like season 7, like the finale of season 7 is some of the best Star Wars I've seen. It's just so good.
Okay. All right. Well, and Baby Yoda has a name, but I'm not going to say it here because I deeply prefer Baby Yoda.
I do too. And I haven't seen
the child.
I haven't seen
He's the child.
He's the child.
You're such a purist.
He's the child.
What are you, a monk?
You're such a purist.
No, it's well, okay. So because we have some family members that hadn't seen it, so we watched the first 4 episodes yesterday again, and I'm like, oh well, it's been a while. I'll ramp up to season 2. I got to fit Clone Wars in there, but yes, because it's the child. He's the child.
But that's not even
he's a 50-year-old child.
I'm talking about.
I know.
He has. I know it's
his name.
Yeah,
of course he does.
We could argue about Baby Yoda or the child, but I'm okay with either. I'm not calling it what it is right now.
It's Bob, right?
It's Baby Yoda.
The Bob Maluga.
Good old frog-eating Bob. Frog-eating Bob.
Right.
There he is.
Okay. Have you seen the behind the scenes stuff on that? How they shot the in the orb?
It's insane.
The
volume.
Oh yes, yeah,
amazing.
Have we talked about that on this show? It is stunning.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Andy's listened to all the SatMat episodes, Pete. He can tell you exactly which episode we talked about. Yes, and so listeners, go back to that episode. We don't need to rehash it here. Okay. We'll move on.
Thank you. Good though. You should.
No, it is. I love because we probably talked about that, but I love the fact that it's Jon Favreau, how he transitioned to that through working on Jungle Book and Lion King and the shifts in technology. And I think, okay, how many more, studios are going to develop something like that that's going to really, do that. But I guess now with the COVID, it's better to shoot outside than in a confined space, I guess. So is COVID just destroying, the ability to shoot on a closed set like that?
Oh.
Well, who knows with curfews and everything. I'm really curious what's gonna how things are gonna shape as things continue with this, especially here in the States where it's pretty clear that our country has no sense as to how to manage something like this. It's oh well, like productions in Australia, I'd probably feel pretty safe being something down there.
Yeah.
What else in the news? Did you hear this thing about? We did our Friday series earlier in the year. Pete, did you hear about this whole thing with Faizon Love? He was in this movie Love Retreat, which came out
Couples Retreat,
which came out 11 years ago now, and he's just started a lawsuit with Universal because they whitewashed him out of the movie poster in the overseas release of this film.
Which happened when?
At the time.
Way back.
At the time.
Yes.
And now he's doing the lawsuit.
Well, there's a story. There's more to it.
You got to give me the whole thing.
Yeah.
The story is that he had complained to Universal at the time that this had happened and was very upset because, he wanted them to fix it. And so what they did to kind of try to calm him down and prevent him from filing lawsuit. They promised to this is what it says, the immediate cessation of the racist international poster and prompt recompense to Mr. Love in the form of lucrative career-making film roles. And
you'll get more movies.
You'll get more movies. And
no. Career making movies. They can guarantee it's going to make him a star, which I thought
that's a stretch. It's a stretch to push that.
Yes.
But
yes.
The idea was that he would be in some larger films. And his complaint is that now with the increase in the box office of black-led films that and proving that they can have huge success. It's like, with all of this stuff that's been happening, they still have done nothing to kind of throw anything his way. And so it's I think it's pretty interesting that I just find it interesting that it took so long for him to finally hit this point where he was going to sue them. Like, let's wait 11 years to see if they're going to finally do something for him. But also, I think it's interesting and I don't know, perhaps representative of the system at the time that they would not actually follow up on what they agreed to. And they never really pulled all the posters. I mean, they quote, pulled them, but, that you can still find them everywhere online.
Yeah.
It's the internet. You can't destroy anything.
Well, that's very hard.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have to look at what projects he's been in to see, have they put him into some of the, films that you would think, okay, this is that opportunity. But I mean, to say, oh, you promised you were going to make me a star and you didn't, would be like Jake Lloyd saying, George Lucas, you promised I'd have this thriving career after being in Phantom Menace. And it's like, well, kid, sorry, you didn't have the chops to really pull that off. And nothing against Mr. Love. I think, again, talented actor, but to say that we're going to do star making things for you, but that's one thing versus have they really provided? Because I think that in the article it even said like Vince Vaughn was, stepped in to help resolve this. And there was like a TV show that was going to happen. There's a lot of, clearly I think there's some promises that were not kept, and whether it was just that they were speaking and, oh, we're going to make efforts to do these things. And that's harder to pin somebody down to, but clearly it's an issue. What was even more surprising to me was they talk about the whitewashing in posters when they talk about the Italian posters for 12 Years a Slave, which I had not seen before, which is like a huge, 90% of the poster is either Brad Pitt's face or Michael Fassbender's face. Then you've got, 12 Years a Slave, and then you've got, very, very small in the right hand corner, you've got like Chiwetel there sort of like running. And I thought, okay, that's a problem when you have the star of the movie, minimized like that. With Couples Retreat, I think it's a little bit more complicated because
I'm sorry, I'm looking at these 12 Years a Slave posters. Yes, they are comedy. That's
pretty shocking.
An embarrassment.
Yes, right. Yes. Whereas with Couples Retreat, you've got clearly the posters are trying to emphasize who are the box office draws, who are the stars, and so they're going to front those to eliminate. To eliminate them completely is a problem. I totally agree. To like take you've got whatever 3 or 4 couples, and you're going to just eliminate one altogether. Yes. I don't know what the reason was for that. I think they said they were trying to simplify the poster, and I thought, well, are you going into a place where you feel like having, equal representation on the poster is somehow going to limit the box office draw of the poster, or of the film? That gets really, really messy and sketchy.
Well, they even took his name off of the list of names.
Oh yes, yeah. I saw. Yes, yeah.
But they took you guys, the couple Faizon, they were not even like they were already
right.
Oh, in the
minimized.
Yeah,
they were so tiny,
unrecognizable. It is comically bad in any context. And then to remove, I don't know. I mean, I think aesthetically, removing them is less of an embarrassment than the way they were in the original poster, right? Like Faizon Love is unrecognizable in that poster.
He's in the background. He's a tiny little man in the background.
But it's same thing with like all the Avengers posters. The concept of having them on the poster is more important than being removed. And again, his name is on the list on that poster, along with his partner's name, and both of their names are removed Hawk. To put for the bigger one.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. It is terrible. And Jean Reno's name is on the poster and isn't or is not on. He's not pictured there at all.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
We'll
so
we'll
is this
see.
a story about representation in film marketing or statute of limitations on bringing lawsuits against this kind of stuff? I feel like it's hard because I see his point and his perspective, and I think he's a very funny man and deserves more recognition for good work. And also, it's been a long time.
Right. Yeah, strange story. I'm curious to hear where it goes. If they just throw some money at it and it just goes away, or what. Yeah. So we'll see.
Or we'll suddenly see Faizon Love in a lot of new movies.
Right. He'll be helming the return of the dark Universal, all the horror.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Faizon Love in The Invisible Man. Faizon Love in The Wolfman.
But he won't be on any of the posters. That's the deal. Right. We'll put you in all the movies, and you can headline them, but you won't be in any of the posters. Oh, it's terrible. I really feel for the guy. Like that's. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Kurt Russell.
I read this and I thought, please tell me that he meant Mel Gibson.
Possibly. I mean, this is the type of article where it comes out. I'm like, this is just the attempt to do some type of PR for the film by throwing something ridiculous out there that says that Kurt Russell's last role ever could be Santa Claus. And I thought, okay, that could be interesting. Kurt Russell's getting up in years, and maybe he's just like, this is an easy gig. It's fun. I get to work with my wife, all that. This is light. But then when Chris Columbus says, when a guy plays Santa Claus, most of the time it's not taken seriously. But when Kurt Russell plays Santa Claus, he writes 170 pages about the guy's backstory and mythology. That is an actor's commitment. He's committed to this role in a way you expect De Niro to be committed to Jake LaMotta. And I thought, no. I mean, yes, quite possibly. But this is a piece to just remind people Kurt Russell is in this Santa Claus movie that you can watch on Netflix now. And there's a sequel. Go watch it now. Is Kurt Russell seriously going to be like, yeah, I'm not taking any other movies. I'm just doing Santa. I highly doubt it.
Well, I don't know about that. Have you watched any? Have you watched the trailer for it? Have you seen any of it?
My son watched it the day it came out. He was very, very excited. And he said, Dad, it's not as good as the first one.
Oh, wow.
We were all fans of the first one over here. It was a really fun Christmas movie.
They did Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell did a story on CBS Sunday Morning a couple of weeks ago about it. And he does talk about the fact that he invested so much of his, time and blood and sweat into the backstory of this character. And he talks about how, St. Nicholas, he was a guy. He's a historical figure. Like, let's see if we can imbue him with some of that. And then they show a clip from the movie, and it looks like every other gingerbread house Santa Claus movie that there's out there. Like, I haven't watched the whole thing, so that's the extent of my commentary. But I'm not sure that research shows up on the celluloid. I just don't know. I feel like
I'm really embodying this former Archbishop of Turkey, and I'm just going to really bring this to the with the script and the costume and set. Doesn't matter what work you do, that's not going to really come through all of that other stuff.
Right. I would love an Archbishop of Turkey version of St. Nicholas on screen. I think it would be great. And Kurt Russell doesn't look like that guy. Like, he would not be cast in that role.
No.
Maybe it's Kurt Russell's face that's giant and a little tiny Archbishop played by Faizon
Love. Yes.
More whitewashing.
More whitewash. True.
Yeah, it's not great.
Well, we'll probably end up watching it again because the rest of the family still is curious about it. So we can report to you when we finally check it out.
What's so funny is Goldie Hawn. She's like, yeah, he really did write all that stuff.
It's great. It's like he's got nothing else to do, you know?
Well, better going out on this than League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, like Sean Connery did.
Definitely.
Poor man.
Okay.
Or what was it? What was Gene Hackman's last one? It wasn't it that
something Alaska,
like welcome to Mooseport. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how you end your award-winning career, Mr. Hackman. Yeah. So at least if they can make this an ongoing franchise and maintain quality, yes, it makes sense that it would be something worth going out on.
It can be his form of doing an annual Hallmark movie, right? You can just say, time for my next Christmas movie.
Yes, exactly.
170 more pages of history, handwritten on vellum.
All right. Well, we should do our trailers, gents. So
yes, we
I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to do a trailer that I picked.
Dropped a year ago.
Or did it? Or did it? That's the question. No, I'm picking a trailer for a movie that did actually come out a while ago, but it's something that has been coming up in conversations lately. And so I just felt like I had to bring this up for that very reason. And it honestly looked like something that's like, it actually looks kind of fun, even though it's so just so pointing itself out throughout. So I'm not so sure it'll hold up. It is called The Mandela Effect.
Sam, my precious Sam.
Hey, Sam. Stay where we can see you.
Becoming parents gave Claire and I a greater sense of purpose.
Whoa.
Every day brought with it new memories, each one sacred in its own way.
It doesn't feel real.
I know exactly what you mean.
Dad? Dad, I'm scared.
I think I'm going crazy. I saw her.
Maybe you should think about talking to someone. Like a grief counselor.
When Sam died, I began to notice these inconsistencies. Do you remember where this was taken?
Yeah, it's Griffith Observatory.
I swear, I remember taking this photograph, but we were in Seattle. How would you feel if you could no longer trust your own memories? You remember the children's book when you were growing up about the family of bears?
The Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain, S-T-E-I-N.
We've been hard to reach lately.
I just started noticing some things. And
Like what kind of things?
We're living in parallel universes.
Can you picture the Monopoly Man?
Yeah.
What's on his face?
Monocle.
Apparently, it's never been the case. The Mandela Effect. Either we're sliding between parallel realities, or like a simulation, and it's glitching out.
Do you hear yourself right now?
Maybe it's in my head, Claire, but what if it's not? Maybe none of this is real.
It's an interesting looking science fiction film about this couple that is grieving over the loss of their daughter, and he starts becoming obsessed with this idea that people are remembering facts and events incorrectly. Like they bring up the whole Berenstain Bears thing. They bring up the Monopoly Man with his monocle or without a monocle. The idea keeps popping up, and then the whole idea: did his daughter really die, or is she alive? And then it turns into this alternate reality sort of story, and is it this big computer simulation that we're all living in? And it looks like it's one of those films. I mean, honestly, it's out. It's been out for a while. The ratings aren't that high, but I really wanted to pick it because of those reasons, and because the conversation's been just swirling around the Mandela Effect, and because it is one of those things. Even Steve commented, I feel like we talked about this trailer before. It's like, yes, it's the Mandela Effect. I just had to throw this in there. What did you two think of this one?
So you say we've been having a lot of conversations about the Mandela Effect. Funny, I don't remember any of them.
curse you, computer simulation.
I feel like this movie, the trailer, it starts off on the right foot, and I'm super into the idea of grief and grieving, and how, you know, and I was really looking forward to the story of this couple and this father, you know, trying to reconcile his grief through this experience of the Mandela effect. And like when he's looking at that photo and says, you know, I swear this was in Seattle, and it looked really great. And then you hear the little cha-ching of the stars falling when it becomes a damned computer simulation movie. Like, I don't need that version of this movie. I don't need it. And it really, it was upsetting. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to see this movie. I don't know if it's the movie that,
Pete,
that it certainly.
You've already seen this movie.
Nailed it.
Yes. No, well, it's Andy's. Maybe when I was looking for trailers a year ago, I came across this trailer and then decided, not to pick it because it looked really, really familiar. But yeah, Pete, I'm right there with you when he's like, but I'm a coder. I'm going to fix this. If we're in a simulation, I'm going to fix the code. And I'm like, what? How? I mean, it's you've got a computer that you can just plug into reality and be like, let me just. Right. I'm like, you got a better chance of being Jeff Goldblum uploading a computer virus to an alien ship.
Right.
I mean, it's just, but the idea of memory and grief and all of that is something that I'm right there with you. And that, you know, when we get to my trailer in a few moments, we'll talk about what that movie should really be. But this is a trailer rewind movie. This is definitely a trailer rewind movie that is definitely worth exploring to see what really works, because it's hard to compress all that in the trailer. And there's so many times when they try to highlight something they think will be a draw, and it may be a minimal story point. But I have a feeling that this is far more we're trying to be the Matrix than trying to be a character drama about grief.
Here's what we're going to do, Steve. You and me, we're going to do the Mandela effect on trailer rewind. We're going to release it for one day, and then I'm going to delete it and see if we can gaslight the hell out of Andy.
No. Well, here's what we do. We release it. You two record it. Release it for one day, and then Steve and I record an episode, and we release that, and then people will forever think, I swear I heard Steve talk to Pete about this movie.
Pete, is there a way to backdate that so it looks like it was posted like
1
a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago
Yes.
today. Right.
I think that they're having some fun with the effects in this. It could be fun. There was a Letterboxd review that I wanted to just read to you part of, because it's excruciating to slow watch 90% of the time, with buzzwords and pop culture reference being thrown at you to create a facade of understanding while circling around the same one stupid plot point. However, the other 10% of the movie is amazing. The ending is effing crazy and stupid and terrible and amazing. I loved how dumb it got, but that ending is like 3 minutes long. The first 10 minutes is also laughably awful. I just wish the vast majority of the time was that same chaotic energy that made the small chunks amazingly bad. Instead, most of the film is just annoyingly bad. So
Glowing praise.
But apparently there are three. The ending is crazy and amazing. So there you go. That's my pick. Steve, you're up next.
All right. I am talking about a movie that also deals with memory and relationships. And this is a little film based on a short story that is about a couple that is trying to hold their relationship together as a memory loss virus spreads and threatens to erase the history of their love and courtship. So a little bit of... what is it? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, if you can't remember people, all of that. But this is called Little Fish, and it stars Olivia Cooke and Jack O'Connell.
I have to ask you something. I'm not sure how.
Is it scary?
Yeah.
So how long would you say you've been experiencing symptoms?
Like a month. I can remember some things, but other things are just gone, like details. I can't do details.
They call it NIA, neuroinflammatory affliction, and it can affect anyone. Like the man picked up by a fishing boat. It turned out he was another fisherman, couldn't remember how to steer his boat, so he decided to swim home. And then a pilot forgot how to fly.
Listen carefully. If you are experiencing NIA symptoms, I need you over here.
The government have the true cure. They've been keeping NIA on the street.
It's no wonder people went crazy.
This is not a proven cure.
We urge everyone to remain calm.
So the treatment, is it like a pill or?
We'll be doing an oral cranial puncture.
Sorry, what?
The brain is separated into 4 major lobes. Think of it as clearing a clogged pathway beneath the lateral.
Who am I? How old am I? What's my favourite colour?
You're my wife, Emma Vida Ryerson Williams. You're 28. Your favorite color is yellow.
Oh, do you remember meeting me?
I remember a water park.
What time of year was it?
Summer. No. Winter. We had just bought a fish.
And what really drew me to this is that idea of a virus that might be spreading across. So we've got something that's not quite as on the nose as what's that songbird that's coming out that's about COVID. This one is about a different type of virus that isn't, killing people, but it's destroying memory and their ability to function. And what does that mean when we can't remember things? How do we move forward if we don't remember our past? So this is coming out February 5th, 2021. And for me, it's about the relationship piece. And that's, what I was excited to see in the Mandela Effect, to see a whole movie about a relationship. And if they can't remember, or one member of the couple can't remember, what does that really mean for their relationship? So for me, I know this is going to be probably not as strong as I hope it to be, but it's definitely one that I look forward to watching because I haven't seen Olivia Cooke in a while. Looking forward to what she's doing. The writer of the short story, Aja Gabel, I was trying to find the actual short story on his website. He lists it as says that the story appeared in the magazine Phoebe. It is my favorite story I've ever written. So sort of curious about perhaps tracking down the original story and then comparing it to the film at one point.
I'm telling you, this whole episode of Satmac is going to be a Mandela effect.
Right.
I can totally feel it.
I think that it's funny that this movie was set to premiere at Tribeca, and that its premiere about this movie, which is about a pandemic, got delayed because of a pandemic. I just think that's kind of funny. And I just have to say, there was that other movie, and I'm going back to my trailer, even though we're talking about this one, but what was the movie with Julianne Moore where it was the same thing? She remembered having a daughter, and then all of a sudden, but the whole thing is like aliens or something. What was that one?
That was The Forgotten.
Is that what it was? So clearly, it's
yes, I think that was.
I think you're right.
There's something really compelling when handled well about when you tamper with reality through memory and people can't remember. You get that unreliable narrator, or is it not? And when that's handled really well, I think it can be a really powerful story.
Well, I think this one looks like it's handling it really well. I think that the way that it's treated with love and trying to create this idea of remembering who you are and everything and remembering the ones you love, it looked very touching. It honestly looks a little bit kind of like an Alzheimer's sort of movie. It has that same sort of feel, just told in this kind of science fiction pandemic sort of way. So I'm excited about this one. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think Olivia Cooke looks great in this movie, like feeling like that, her in that experience of watching somebody that you love disappear. I think it looks great. It's like giving just that little twist, that little nuance of gestures broadly reality and that Alzheimer's spirit. Like, this is the movie that I kind of wanted the Mandela Effect to be about the loss of a child, and so here they've sort of given it to me. Notwithstanding the fact that it's the loss of oneself, and I think that looks great. It looks great.
When's this one finally going to get released now?
It's scheduled for February 5th, 2021. So IFC, I think, picked this one up for distribution. So again, we'll see where things are in a couple of months. If this is going to I don't see this as one being a high priority to get thrown into theaters. So I'm imagining this is going to be a direct video release.
Yeah, probably.
It feels like it's got kind of a Never Let Me Go vibe. right?
Yes.
It feels like
yeah.
it's
Good call,
It's gonna
yeah.
be,
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. All right,
All
Pete,
right,
what's
can we talk
yours?
about me now?
Yeah. Let's talk all about
right.
you.
All right, look. So this could be another. Well, it could be just another one of those like YA series, but I'm talking about Chaos Walking.
That was a terrible crash. We're lucky to be alive.
Whoa, stop! Don't come any closer. It's a girl. Girl! Oh my gosh, girl. I'm sorry. No blonde hair. I've just never seen a girl before. Who are you?
It's so loud here.
We call it the noise. Happened to all the men on this planet. Every thought in our heads were on display.
Where are all the women?
They're dead.
What is she thinking? Where the hell is her noise?
It's strange to see everything you're thinking.
You know, it's strange for me too, not knowing what's going on in your head. I mean, I don't know, you might not like my dog, or you want to hit me over the head with a rock or something.
I like your dog.
He's stronger than he knows. You better watch your noise.
Snake.
Snake.
If those men catch you, they'll kill you. Get in the boat! If you want to protect the girls, you have to leave now. Safe, keep you safe, keep you safe.
With her power, there's no telling what he can do. I need that girl before she wants him. How many are coming? 100? 200?
Thousands.
I bring it to you today because it has a curious lineage. Are you aware of what?
Yeah, that's a word for it.
Yes.
Are you aware of where this film has come from? Through whose hands have touched this movie? It is okay. Let's start with the premise. It is another dystopian world. There are no women. All the women are dead, and all the living creatures can hear each other's thoughts in a stream of images, words, and sounds called the noise. Right, it's the noise germ, and it's based on a series of books by Patrick Ness, and he is adapting the screenplays for adapting the books with Chris Ford. Now, it's a sci-fi trilogy, the Chaos Walking trilogy. This is the first one, The Knife of Never Letting Go. But listen to this: it was announced in 2011, and the first script draft was written by Charlie Kaufman and Jamie Linden and John Lee Hancock and Gary Spinelli and Lindsay Beer, and then finally Chris Ford and Patrick Ness revising the screenplay. The hands that have massaged the words in this screenplay are hands that I generally like. Why? What? How? So this continues our thread of trailers that will be questioned as the Mandela effect in a year's time.
No kidding.
On this very episode. Stars Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland and Mads Mikkelsen and Damian Bashir and Cynthia Erivo and Nick Jonas and David Oyelowo and music by Andy, you'll love it, Marco Beltrame.
Hey, we just talked about him.
We just talked about him. And directed by Doug Liman. Like, there are people who have made great movies involved in the making of this movie. So why is it that I come to it with such a feeling of uncertainty? Please.
You
trailer?
didn't mention that they shot this in 2017, and then because Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland were busy with Star Wars and Spider-Man, respectively, they couldn't do any of the reshoots until April of 2019. So it's
gonna be, you're not gonna be able to tell. Believe me, that they've aged 2 years.
Neither of them. They have the Winona Ryder effect, where both of them will forever look like teenagers.
That's right. Boy, did they luck out with that, right?
Yes,
Especially
right,
that
yes.
Tom Holland. God.
Yes. Oh, but that's the big red flag for me is at first is it the too many cooks in the script, and then is it the what was so problematic with that they had to do, I know there's always reshoots and all that. Maybe it was exacerbated by that, but from watching the trailer and then reading the summary of the trilogy, I'm deeply concerned. It looked like they're trying to cram that whole trilogy into one movie. And maybe there is a lot of fluff and character stuff in the YA novels that they said, you know what, we're going to make this just straight, action sci-fi type of thing. And so it may bear, just passing resemblance to the books.
Yeah, maybe.
But it I trust Doug Liman. I trust this cast, but I also think Bird Box.
Well,
that's
and I didn't mention that the movie had poor test screenings, and so they actually brought in a different director, Fede Alvarez, to do those reshoots. So even with Doug Liman at the helm, now with a different director doing the reshoots, I'm like, wow, I don't know what is happening with this. It looks like it could be an interesting film. I mean, it looks like an easy kind of late night watch sort of movie. Maybe it's just
a popcorn movie.
It's a popcorn movie, and maybe it's one of those.
Yeah.
I've never read the books, so maybe I'm fine in that regard. I could just kind of take it for what it is and then forget about it right afterward.
Yeah.
I just with these two in it, I just would really hope that there would be more to it.
Yeah, I do too. I libbied the books. They should be here before I can actually see the movie, so that'll be, I guess, good. I don't know if I'm doing myself a disservice by actually investing in the universe, but it does. To clarify, Steve, it does look like they're only adapting the first book, the Knife of. What did I say?
Never Letting Go.
Knife of Never Letting Go. But they're calling it the Chaos Walking, even though it's the Chaos Walking.
If you read the summary of the third book on Wikipedia, I sort of just skimmed through the overreaching plot. The last part of the trailer, where it's like they're coming and how many and thousands, all that, looks like it's talking about things that happened in the third book.
The unveiling of the aliens.
It's something, yes. So that's where I'm. I love a good YA novel, and Pete, like you, I'll probably dig into this because I love this concept of it. But from what I read, first off, we see in the trailer Daisy Ridley crash lands on the planet. And from reading the basic summary of the first book, her character is already there living on the planet. And so we have to simplify some things of how do we get, I think they're trying to cut through the world building aspect that may take some time in the novels and just get to, we need to get this character introduced quickly. We need to get things moving along, which again, I'm fine.
Compress it.
I love it because I'd rather you compress it, because if you're not going to do this as like a 5 or 6 part series on Netflix, then, find ways to compress it. And I trust the hands of the writers that have been, that the script has passed through.
Did you guys care for Monster Calls?
I didn't end up seeing that one. Is it any good?
That was another Patrick.
Was it?
That was
Okay,
Liam
no, I haven't
Neeson.
seen that one.
Was that Liam Neeson as the monster?
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver,
Right,
Felicity
that's the mom,
Jones, and Liam Neeson.
No, never saw that one.
It was high on my list at the time, and then it's one of those that just kind of slipped my mind. I wonder if I should check it out now with the kids, though. They might both enjoy it.
What? This title sounds familiar, but you mentioned all those people. I'm like, I have no recollection of that film at all.
Did it ever exist?
See?
Yes, exactly. I don't know. Pete's making up movies.
Chaos Walking comes out. It's going to drop in the USA January 22nd, 2021.
Okay.
And it's who knows how we're going to see it. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, right.
I know. I do know. I will not see it in a theater, so it may come out 90 days later.
It'll just be implanted, and we'll have this memory of having watched it,
right?
But without actually having seen it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Well, I think it's time, since it's the three of us, that we do some re-ranking. What do you think?
Yeah.
Under the cherry moon. Come on, sweet baby.
That's
Come
right. All right. So we're going to do jump over to flickchart.com/thenextreel. We're going to re-rank some of the films that we have on our list. We have 480 films on our chart, and we're going to do 10 re-rankings, see where what shakes up. First up, we have Interstellar from our time travel series, and The Book of Eli from our Hughes Brothers series.
Interstellar, please.
Let's say Interstellar. Steve, you've seen both of these, right?
I have. I was like, yeah, I've seen both of these. And Interstellar is one of my Father's Day tradition movies.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely.
Yes, I watched that, and then the movie that I won't mention because Pete will.
Tree of Life. There, I'll mention it for you.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Well, Interstellar held steady in spot 182 on our chart. Second up, Alien Resurrection. Ooh, or Friday After Next. Oh, two series where they definitely declined by the time they hit this point.
Right. Wow.
I'll still say Alien Resurrection because
I will too.
Yeah. Steve, you have seen that, but you have not seen Friday After Next.
Andy is right on. A bonus point for Andy.
Right.
Stand it.
All right. Alien Resurrection went from 459 to 450. Not a big jump, but it did go up.
You know,
Baby
it's
steps.
an indicator that we were right the first time. Like, really, once we're there.
Right. All right, next up, we have Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep, or It Happened One Night, Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert. Oh, absolutely, It Happened One Night.
Man, I remember watching Defending Your Life again. I think it was, my sense memory of it was much higher than the movie itself.
That's probably true. It slipped a little bit for both of us.
Yeah. All right, I'll go with It Happened One Night.
Steve, you have seen
Defending Your Life for sure.
I don't know. Now I'm questioning if he's even seen that one. I'm going to say
the movie practically was titled Dear Steve, Defending Your Life.
It's whether or not I'm an Albert Brooks fan. Is that the question?
I know.
Andy?
Well, you did. Somebody else just watched Modern Romance. I'm going to say you did see Defending Your Life, but you haven't seen It Happened One Night.
No, It Happened One Night is one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay.
And if you were paying attention in Discord, I mentioned it a while ago as a little trivia because it's one of what is it, 3 movies that has won the 5 Oscars for like Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Actor,
But that doesn't mean you've seen it. That just means you
but it's
pull facts off of IMDb.
Favorite movies that he's never seen.
Yeah, he's never seen. No, but it's a great early rom-com, a little bit of the screwball. No, that's
so
a
good.
top film.
So good.
Yes.
All right.
Right there with you guys.
Well, that one.
Yes.
All right. It Happened One Night, held steady. Oh, way too low. Spot 327 on our chart.
Oh.
What is it doing down there, Pete?
That's the purpose of
I
this
know.
flick chart re-ranking, Andy.
But it didn't move anywhere.
It never re-ranks them with the it's always like, anyway.
Yeah.
Next up, Anaconda. Oh, this is both aquatic creatures. Anaconda or big fish?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's big fish for me, hands down. Absolutely.
It's big fish for me too.
Yeah.
Anaconda's fun, but it's not that fun. And big fish I have problems with, but I'd still, there's a lot going on with that one. So Steve,
At no point was anybody regurgitated in Big Fish with a wink.
That could be its biggest problem right there. Honestly. Yeah.
Yes.
Steve, you've seen Big Fish. I question if you've seen Anaconda. I don't think you have.
I have not.
Okay.
Because why? Yes.
Because it's fun. It's nonsense. And
yes,
it's fun.
I know. Yes. I'll probably watch that before I watch any of the Underworld movies again.
Okay. But have you... I've been listening to old Satmats, and what was the one that you were now on about having to watch? It wasn't In the Name of the Father, but there was another one that came up that you're like, I gotta watch that movie. I can't remember. I'm going to have to start writing all these down. All right, next up,
I was starting to build a letterbox list of every time you'd mention something I haven't seen. You're like, you have to watch that. I think I need to retitle it movies Andy mentioned on the Satmat that I have to definitely watch.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I'll get on that list.
All right, next up, The Descent or The Natural.
The Descent.
Oh wow!
No.
Okay.
Oh, Pete.
I answered so fast,
I know.
and then I didn't even hear. I thought surely there's no movie that he's going to say. Unless it's Under the Cherry Moon, I'm going to roll those dice. No, I'm going to go with the. I'm going to go with The Natural.
I'm going to go with The Descent.
Are you really?
You know me and my weird issues with The Natural. I really enjoy that movie, but it's a weird one. That I have a weird thing in my head about that one. I still really enjoy it, but I think The Descent is top-notch horror.
This is actually a good pair because I I'm hearing you talk about it. I'm still with The Natural, but I just don't care. Like either one of them could win and I'd be fine.
They're both incredibly
Come
strong
on,
films.
Lightning Boy.
Well, Steve, you haven't seen The Descent.
Yes, I have numerous times.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we were just talking about it because for some reason we were playing a Jackbox game and Spelunking came up, and then we were talking about Spelunking, and that led to discussions of The Descent. And no, because I watched it, because I think the alternate ending and all of that.
Yeah.
Yes, no, there's a soft spot in my heart for The Natural. Maybe it's because I saw it like so young, but there's just something great about that. So I'm going to go with The Natural.
All right, The Natural it is then.
All right.
The Natural went from 235 to 105. Now there's a jump.
Wow. All right.
There's a jump.
All right.
Pale Rider or Requiem for a Dream. Oh, I got to go Requiem.
Yeah, Requiem.
Steve, you have not seen Pale Rider.
That is correct.
Oh, there you go.
Well, and you've seen Requiem for a Dream 1,000 times.
That is incorrect. I have not seen it.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's Darren Aronofsky,
yes.
and you have a thing.
I have it. I have issues with Aronofsky, and then there's because there's like the director's cut version, and that's the one I would prefer to see. I think. I don't think
you even need to bother. Just
right.
watch it.
Okay, just watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Requiem for a Dream.
Movies
held
about
steady.
refrigerators.
Monster refrigerators. This and Ghostbusters. Requiem for a Dream held steady at spot 21 on our chart. Next up, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or Roma. Roma, please. Roma. Steve, you have seen both of these.
Yes, I have.
Right.
And I concur with the rest.
Right.
Although.
Wait, there's an although. Do I need to hit undo?
After that? I was just thinking about, don't even. No.
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 Yeah. All right. Next up, John Carpenter's The Thing or Murder by Death. Well,
Well, it's the thing.
It's always the thing.
Yeah, it's the thing.
Steve, you've seen both of these.
What is Murder by Death?
You haven't seen Murder by Death.
No.
Oh, okay. It's
Clue before Clue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of.
But still the thing. It's always the thing.
Yeah, Murder by Death
is
problematic.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love it. The Thing held steady in spot 107, way too low for my taste.
Yes.
Next up, what number are we on, by the way? Are we getting close, Steve?
This is number 9.
Okay, The Bourne Supremacy, number 2 in the Bourne films, or The Hurt Locker. Well, I got to go The Hurt Locker. The Supremacy is the weakest of my Matt Damon Bourne films, and The Hurt Locker's genius.
Really? It's weaker than Jason Bourne?
No, I forgot there was. I even forget that one was made. What a God.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this one until it's right. What were they on? Oh.
But I concur with The Hurt Locker. Yes.
So good. Such a great film. All right. Hurt Locker held steady in spot 146 on our chart. And last but not least, we have The Young Girls of Rochefort or
whatever other thing.
Or The Abyss.
Yeah, it's The Abyss. Look at that.
Whatever else it is.
That's my new game. How fast can I answer?
I know. Or The Abyss. It's absolutely The Abyss. Steve, you haven't seen Young Girls of Rochefort, have you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And you picked that over The Abyss?
Are you putting up a fight?
No, okay, which version of The Abyss?
Doesn't matter.
There's no which version of The Abyss in this conversation.
Yes, there is.
There's not.
Yes, there is. There is the director's cut, which redeems the end much, much better than the original theatrical release, which I have problems with. But no, a good, light, French, colorful musical. I'm fine. No, it's I could go either way on that. But you both just cast it off like, of course it's The Abyss. No, it's not. Of course it's The Abyss. It's like, they're completely different types of films. They're both very entertaining.
Young Girls of Rochefort does have some elements in it that are okay. It just didn't. It didn't work that well for me. I wasn't that big a fan at all of the May-December romance going on in that film. It was a little creepy. it was fine. It didn't win me over like I was hoping it would. And people say, well, I should check out The Umbrellas of Cherbourg because maybe I'll like that one. So,
yeah, definitely should check that one out as well.
Right. Well, The Abyss held steady in spot 200 on our chart. And with that, gents, we are done with our flick chart re-ranks for now, and maybe we'll return to it at another time.
And no 2001 or Under the Cherry Moon. The battle continues.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right. Well, we are done with that. And now it is time to hit our lists. Oh, boy. This week we're talking about the last of our Aquatic Killers films. It was Crawl that was just released. The options that we threw out on the Show Talk channel in Discord were Dogs in Peril, Committing Crimes During Natural Disasters, and Losing Limbs. And with hardly votes for any other category, Losing Limbs vastly took the winning spot. So that is what we're here to talk about, movies with Losing Limbs. So, I am going to start with a movie that I absolutely love, and it's a horror film, and it is a film that when it came out, I just remember seeing it, and I was just incredibly impressed with the young filmmakers behind it. Lee Winnell, who wrote it, James Wan, who directed it. It was and it kind of kicked off the torture porn sort of slasher films. But I feel like it's a lot more than that, even if a lot of its sequels aren't that great. It is Saw. And what a clever little film it was with the machinations of our crazy character who's killing people in these horribly torturous ways, and the way he's coming up with them. And as we follow the story of Lee Winnell playing Adam and Cary Elwes playing Dr. Gordon, trapped in this room, and the only way out is by cutting off a limb in order to escape before the door shuts forever. And of course, not to spoil anything, but Dr. Gordon does finally go through with the act in order to get out, cutting off his own foot so that he can get out. But of course, the door shuts before he escapes. So that is my first pick, Saw from 2004.
Yeah, okay.
Is a foot a limb? Is it really is foot count as a limb?
I'm just kidding.
We're gonna be.
I went around that back and forth.
I did too. I'm like, what is a limb? Like, is an ear a limb? Yeah. And then I'm like, well, that's okay. Right. So they're all appendages, but a limb is something that you use for motion, or so. I'm like,
so Reservoir Dogs is off the table.
I don't know if you can crawl with your ears.
It depends on it depends. It depends, because I think of a limb as like the whole. It's like, at what point does cutting off fingers? No, cutting off the hand, does that count? But then if you're like going to the elbow or shoulder, that's more of a limb. I don't know. There's
tricky,
gray areas.
There's definitely gray areas there, and inevitably I kneu that would come up. Yeah. So I was debating with myself. I'm like, what is a finger? Yeah.
So okay, I have I was working on a list, and then I came across something, and I thought, this is interesting, and it also gets me to talk about some films that haven't shown up, but I've got these other ones that are really solid. But I'm going to go with this other list that I sort of discovered. And I'm going to start with, and although we might have to clean up our little database, because this film, it's there, but I don't know which year it is. So I'm gonna go with this, and this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger film from 1990, where, of course, we've got our bad guy. There's a fight. They're on an elevator or a platform going up, and he holds on to Michael Ironside's arms. And as the platform goes up, those limbs just get severed. And then he, could have said, "Hey, I'll, give you a hand." No, he says, "I'll see you at the party," or whatever.
See you at the party, Victor.
Yes, party, Victor. Yes, exactly. So it's Total Recall. It's in the list database. But it didn't say Total Recall 1990, so we may have to clarify which version of Total Recall.
I have a feeling nobody was picking the remake, but
no, I thought so as well. But
although it was Tommy, and he always throws us with some peculiar picks sometimes.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yes.
Could have been.
Don't worry, Andy will listen to it again and tell us.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Total Recall 1990.
My first one is, this was it possibly Elijah Wood's most interesting portrayal for me. And it is the role of, I think, what was his name? Kevin?
Kevin.
In Sin City. And
Steel.
Nice.
Jeez.
I can't believe you let me steal that.
I can't either.
It is the most horrific and awesome portrayal Elijah Wood has ever done, and he gets eaten limb for limb with a smile on his face. It is great. It is great in Sin City. There you go.
Yeah, he gets all of his limbs cut off, and he's just laying there, and the dogs feast on him.
Oh, it's so gross.
That's a great one. Absolutely was one of my picks, because talk about a lot of limbs getting lost.
All of the limbs, all of the limbs, all the great limbs, every one of the greatest limbs.
Oh, so good. My next one, I am jumping to a half of Grindhouse. It is the Planet Terror. Of Grindhouse. Yep. I love this movie so much more than the other half of Grindhouse, which I had a lot of problems with, even though I enjoy the stunt work in it. This half, directed by Robert Rodriguez, was just so much fun. It definitely took the 80s kind of direction with Grindhouse more than kind of Tarantino's kind of 60s, 70s-ish. But in this one, we have Rose McGowan, who she is a dancer. She's a go-go dancer, and there's this weird like zombie creature attack that happens, and she loses her leg, and somebody gives her like a table leg, I think, is what she first gets attached to it so that she can get around. And then eventually she ends up putting on like this machine gun on her leg that somehow she can cock and shoot. I don't exactly know how it works in context of the movie. I don't think it matters.
It's magical.
It's a Grindhouse movie. Eventually, it's just this insane leg that she can run around, and she does amazing work with it, just spinning around and everything. It is so much fun watching her with this minigun on her leg that she walks around with to fight these zombie creatures, and just becomes one of the great fighters. So that's my second pick. Absolute blast. Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror.
Outstanding.
Such a fun film.
I have less problems with the first half too. So
that's the half of Grindhouse I haven't seen. I actually haven't seen.
So you haven't seen Grindhouse. You've always seen.
Well, I've seen Death
Proof.
Proof. Yes, because I didn't see both with all the trailers and all of that stuff. No.
It's a fun way to watch them. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. All right. So I was surprised this hadn't shown up on any of our lists, because I checked our database, it wasn't there. And there's some movies that you see and you think, oh well, that was kind of silly fun. It was something light, and then you watch it again and go, there's something more to this. There's some political statement being made here. There's some commentary going on. Is it really how aware of this is this film aware of what it is? What's going on with this? When you take a very short sci-fi almost novella and expand it into a film that becomes a franchise. I'm talking, of course, about Starship Troopers and our beloved Michael Ironside again losing both his legs in the battle against the bugs.
Is this a Michael Ironside trilogy of appendages?
Is it? Is it? But I would have picked Starship Troopers anyway. I mean, first there's the fact that he's already missing an arm, but then it's his legs. His legs get lost. So we've lost both arms in our first film. We've lost both our legs. Where will we go next?
Wow.
You're really planning something here.
Really into this. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, Pete.
All right.
Second pick.
Okay. So, speaking of the Mandela effect, this movie, I've only seen it once, and it had an indelible sort of impact on my psyche, not the least for reasons. I think it was good. I think it was fun and funny. And also, I swear our own Chad Stoops was in it. He, according to IMDb, he wasn't, but I swear he was. The movie is Idle Hands. Do you remember Idle Hands?
Yes.
I remember it coming out.
Yes, I do.
Is Devon Sawa in that? Is that
yes?
Because
yes,
his name just popped up in
yes, he did
the
in
Discord chat.
Yes.
Devon Sawa and Seth Green, and Seth Green has like a bottle sticking out of his head for a lot of the movie, and it is, I mean, it's hard for me to look at even the poster and not see our own Chad on the could have really done that. It's about the hand that goes crazy, and by the end he whacks it off and it still goes crazy. So it's not I think it's a 6.2 apparently. I remember it as slightly above the 6-star rating. Idle Hands, 1999.
Never saw it. It was one that I remember seeing the poster. I remember seeing the trailer, and I was just like, meh. I've seen.
No, it's a late night.
Yeah,
Joy.
Right.
It's late night, and there is some sort of like it. Yes, it's just this comedy, but there's something about. I guess there's some sort of subtext about with your hands and that whole thing of the idle hands and all of that, whatever that expression is. There's some interesting pieces to it. It's smarter than I thought it was going to be. Still not brilliant film, but definitely worth. Well, it's from the late 90s. It's probably not going to stand up as well as I thought. There'll probably be some things in there. They'll be like, wow, that's really offensive now. But
it's from 99, and I'm always surprised at films from 99 because there was a surprisingly large number of good films that came out in that year.
Yes.
So who knows? Maybe it's worth
I'm going to watch
check.
it again.
There you go.
Put it on the list.
Report to us
let us
know if it's worth it.
Yes.
All right. For my final pick, I feel like I can't. I have to have this on because just in case one of you don't, it has to be here. It is, of course, the brilliant scene where you have King Arthur and some of his knights. They want to cross a bridge, but the Black Knight refuses to let them.
Yes.
None shall pass. Move aside, then you shall die. And hence begins one of the most nonsensical and bloody sword fights that I've seen in all the right ways. And, let's call it a draw in the end after the Black Knight has had all 4 of his limbs severed and he's just on the ground with his bloody stumps. It is one of the funniest bits I've seen. Yes. It is so fun. I love Monty Python. I love Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And it is that film from 1975 with lots of limbs getting severed. That's my final pick.
All the limbs. All the great limbs.
All the great limbs.
That's
just
the way
like
to end your
Kevin.
list.
Just like Kevin.
When would you ever have thought that Sin City and Monty Python and the Holy Grail would be compared? That happened right here today, folks.
That's right. Oh, I just hope that Steve can bring us another multi-amputation horror fest.
No, I can't because, sometimes, like the Mandela effect, when you're having trouble distinguishing what's reality, what's not reality, because you're losing weight. There's mysterious messages on your refrigerator when you're Christian Bale and the Machinist. And one day as you're working on the assembly line, you sort of doze off and one of your coworkers, played by Michael Ironside, gets his arm ripped off in the machine. In the Machinist.
Wow.
Yes. My Michael Ironside list.
You did
that
it.
is so funny.
There was somebody, there was, as I was searching, somebody had a website and they said, they noticed that he suffers injuries and apparently a lot to his left arm to the point where this person said, for a while, I wondered if he was actually, somebody that it was an amputee and didn't have their left arm because there's so many movies where they're damaging or removing his left arm. They thought, you just cast Michael Ironside if you need a guy that doesn't have a left arm.
So funny.
Wow. That's amazing. I actually wonder if we were to look at like the 120 pages that Michael Ironside writes on his character development, if every one of them he's an amputee in some way. My final pick is, I struggled because one of them I wanted to do. It's already post amputation, right? It's that you don't actually see the losing of the limb, and that wouldn't have counted, right? We're not. No, that's not.
Not if they started film that way.
Right? Yeah, they start film that way. that hurts me. So
come on, there's an obvious one that I'm surprised neither of you have picked, and I really wanted to put this on my list, but then I had the Ironside.
I have a huge list. So, yeah.
Well, I have a pretty big list too, and I do. I also struggle with this one because I feel like it's a basic pick. Like it's the pick that it needs to be represented on the list, and I'm just kind of bummed that I'm the one who needs to do it.
Okay,
because there are a couple of these that but I guess I'll go ahead and do it, and we'll talk about the Vietnam battle in Forrest Gump, and it is the Lieutenant Dan loses his legs, and there you go.
That's not the one I was thinking.
Really? And we've talked about that one on the show, so I'm surprised you of all people. I guess that's just me and my rules, but
no, that's true. I didn't check. I didn't.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Go. No, go ahead. I didn't. No, you go.
I was convinced that you were going to put 127 hours on. That seemed like the big obvious one to me.
Yes, there we are.
Okay.
That's exactly what I thought.
But I thought Tom Hanks. I thought we have to. Don't we have to?
Except
another
we've talked about it. So
I do have 127 hours. I almost picked Anchorman.
That's what I thought you would pick. I was 100% convinced you were going to put Anchorman on, even though you've probably talked about that on like half of your SatMat list.
I do. Anchorman is the one I would have put on, but nobody said Forrest Gump. Is it too late? I want to go back. I take it back.
You can go back.
I take it back. Anchorman, Legend of Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy, because Tim Robbins does that heroic catch of the cleaver and cuts off Luke Wilson's arm in the middle of the Anchorman battle, and that's the one I can't believe. Why did I even have a dalliance with Tom Hanks? I did it for you, Andy.
I
did it for you. I take it back. No,
it's because it was Thanksgiving. You were just giving to me.
I'm a badass.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, what did you all have for backups? Would you have some backups?
So the 127 hours, because I was trying to go more limb than just hand. So
he
then
cuts his like whole forearm off, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah. No, that was
That's
for sure.
Really,
but then I had the Michael right. That was a limb.
But Michael
so there were
Ironside
lots of
isn't in that, so I
right, exactly. And so there were lots of hands. So then this one, there was multiple ways that I could approach this. So in Evil Dead 2, Bruce Campbell cuts off his hand, puts the chainsaw on. I'm like, well, that's not really a limb. But then he goes and he's hacking up the demons, and there's like you see limbs, like entire arms, like flying by and all that. So
many limbs.
So many limbs. And then of course I will, and it's far enough up the arm that I would say was a limb. Is of course going to one of our classics that we just talked about in the re-rank is The Thing, when we're doing CPR and the hands go into the chest cavity and get completely cut off there.
Right.
That's
I had Pete, what about you?
Oh, Kill Bill in the Crazy 88s fight. Lots of limb fighting. Let's see. I had Evil Dead 2. All of any Star Wars movie with either any of them, all of them.
Right. I will say it was nice that we all followed Ben Lott's. He put that as a challenge. If you're doing this, don't put any Star Wars movies on there.
Don't put Star Wars movies. Yeah, none of us did that. Jurassic Park, Sam Jackson. But we actually don't see the arm. We don't see him lose it. We just see the arm.
See the arm.
We see the
limb that has been lost.
Yeah. Which I thought was amazing. And the one that I wanted, I just, because every chance I get, I want to do Nick Cage's Moonstruck speech. They took my life. They took my bride. Look at my hand. Right. That's so good. I put bread in a hot hole. It's so good. So that was my list.
Nice. Well, I had True Grit on mine also.
Sure, yeah.
Which is, I think, a good one. And I'm pretty sure that's true in either one, although I honestly can't remember the original that well. I had Freddy versus Jason on my list because there's some limb losing in that one for sure. And last but not least, although we've talked about it on another list before, but Toy Story, because of course Buzz loses his limb, and Tom and Woody uses it in very effective ways to try to convince the others that Buzz is with him. So
that's amazing.
There you go.
That's fantastic. And we got that would have been a Tom Hanks. ad. We got through this list and no Tom Hanks ad.
I know. So sad. But that's okay. I will survive.
Yeah.
Well, next week, we are kicking off our Underworld series. We're going to be doing the first Underworld film from 2003, directed by Len Wiseman. All right. Steve, it sounds like you've seen it, even though you don't want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
We have a number of different options, number of different directions we could really go here. What do you three think we should do?
Movie action sequences that have been tested on Mythbusters.
Believe it or not, I was thinking about that, but I'm like, for some reason, I don't think there are probably that many. I could be wrong.
They've done a couple Hollywood episodes. I don't know that it's enough for 3 people to do this, but they've done several. Let's mythbust this Hollywood action sequence.
That's
so
amazing.
yes, there's a couple
Hollywood,
but not enough.
Trial.
Yeah, maybe enough for one person's list.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Well, we definitely have vampires. We definitely have werewolves. We definitely have them in the modern world. So I don't know if there's something about kind of like these supernatural creatures running around the city, but that's something we could find a way to do as opposed to like gothic kind of ancient periods or anything.
Mm-hmm.
We could do movies with those really cool poses. We have a lot of those.
That is appealing to me because that is one of the things that like for me stands out. I started watching the first Underworld like a couple weeks ago, and that off the building to just sort of like land and I'm walking.
Yeah,
and that just there were some really cool poses, and so for me that's what I think of when I think of Underworld. I mean, yes, you could do vampires or werewolves, but there's so many other franchises who really tackles cool poses.
Let's do cool poses. I love that.
Oh my
as
God.
an idea. That's a great list. It'll be interesting to see what people come up with.
Yes.
Wow.
What else do we have here? There's a lot of gunplay. A lot of double-fisted gunplay. It's definitely
I'm in favor of a double-fisted gunplay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I would.
Double-fisted gunplay. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. There was an era where there was
I already have a perfect one for it. I don't know if I'm on the show next week, but man, it'd be a great one to do. It's definitely a soap opera. I'll tell you. This is a real soap opera, and there is a key. There's a mysterious link to someone from the past. I don't know if that's something that's worth doing as a list item, but there's those sorts of reveals. There's cool hero outfits, tight outfits.
just movies
outfits.
where characters wear plastic.
Yes.
Right.
I'm torn between the supernatural creatures in the modern city because they're like that modernizing sort of the classic creatures, but also there's something about let's make this cool like creature action movie, but we're gonna have it supported by a really soap opera story. I like that mysterious link to someone from the past because that could cover a variety of genres, which may play to different strengths from whoever's on the show.
Mysterious link to someone in the past,
because that the mysterious link is vague enough that you could sort of
Well, it's mysterious.
You could go. Well, it's got to be mysterious. And what is that link to the past?
Yeah.
It's got to be something in the past. So it's like well, I remember this, but do you really? Do you really? Is it a Mandela effect?
Mandela effect supernatural creatures movies?
I like the mysterious link to someone from the past. I mean, we'll have a lot of opportunities to put supernatural creatures in the modern city on our list over the next few weeks. What do you think, Pete? Should we stick with mysterious link?
Let's do it.
Right.
So our 3 are cool poses.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is like hero poses, right? And what can you just give me a constraint around hero poses? Because I could just want to come up with a list of cool guys don't look at explosions movies.
Well, that's
not
a pose. That's not a pose.
It has to be a pose.
That's a shot. But
not a shot.
I think Celine has several poses in here where she's like standing with her guns, or the way she does her victorious angel thing at the end.
Right.
Right.
There's when you think about it, you know how when you watch a movie, you're like, oh, that's there because they wanted that in the trailer. It's like, what is the pose where you're like, they wanted that on the poster?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those where it's like,
shot. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, good. That helps me. That's good.
Yes.
All right. Well, there it is.
Double-fisted gunplay is the second one, and mysterious link to someone from the past for next week.
Yes.
That's right. That is going to go up in our Show Talk channel over in Discord. So if you want to get in on the vote, you just need to, just join us over in Discord, where you can get into all sorts of conversations with all the movie lovers who are following our shows week to week. And to get into the Show Talk channel, you just become a member for as little as $1 a month. You can join and you can get in on a bunch of extra channels. You can get early access to the episodes. You can get in on the live broadcasts of the shows being recorded. You can get in on pre-show chat on our monthly film board. There's a lot of benefits that you get as a member. You just head over to thenextreel.com/membership and you can learn all you need to know about it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here today. We really appreciate it. And I guess until next week, everybody, Pete, Steve, it was great chatting with you about movies today.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Londo.
Bye.
Look at my hand.
Nobody brought up little Ronnie Reagan. Again, we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
King's Row.
King's Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of me?
Where's the rest of me?
We'll just call it the Where's the rest of me list.
That's awful.
Oh my.